Deep within our DNA runs the desire to go faster. Born from an obsession with data, we uncover patterns in consumer behavior that are invisible to others, taking your e-commerce strategy from ordinary to extraordinary. What pushes us ahead of the pack? A fanatical drive to see our partners win.
Hi, thank you for joining our live masterclass session, Marketplace Selling 2.0 Next Level Techniques for Marketplace Success. We have some great content to share with you during the session, and we'll have some time at the end for questions. So please feel free to add them to the chat. With that, I'd like to introduce our speakers. We have Jared Mason, the VP of Ecommerce Services at Pattern, and Jessica Cokins, VP of Product Marketing at Thorne Health Tech. Jared, Jessica, I'll let you take it from here.
Wonderful. Well, welcome everyone to our session on Marketplace Selling 2.0. Today, Jessica and I will walk you through just a few of the tips and tricks that we have learned about how to accelerate your growth in e-commerce. First, we're going to go through a few introductions, and then we'll present some ideas to you. As Shay mentioned, afterwards, we would love to take any questions that you may have. So feel free to put those into the chat window as they come to you, and we'll address them all afterwards. Jessica, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I am Jessica Cokins, product marketing at Thorne Health Tech. And at Thorne Health Tech, we develop solutions for a personalized approach to health and wellness. So this can include anything from supplements to health tests to personalized recommendations based on those health tests. We have a deep portfolio of products to really help consumers target specific health goals or health concerns and ultimately live healthier for longer. We were founded in 1984, and our Q3 revenue in 2022 was 58.4 million. We have around 500 employees, and those employees are spread across all of our different locations, with our headquarters being in New York City, New York. We also have our production and manufacturing center in Charleston, South Carolina, and we have a distribution warehouse in Benicia, California, along with lots of other remote locations as well.
Excellent. And Pattern is a large third-party seller who partners with brands to help them accelerate their growth on the various e-commerce marketplaces. We basically operate like an extension of our partners' e-commerce teams. We've been around for about 10 years. We have 1,400 employees. While we are headquartered in Utah, we also have offices in London, Dubai, Singapore, China, Hong Kong, and 2 offices in Australia. In addition, we've got warehouses scattered throughout the world. We and our partners have been growing quite a bit in the last few years. In fact, in 2022, we helped our partners sell $1 billion for their various companies, and we're super proud of that. And we're just getting started. So let's dive into some of the things that we've learned over the years. Jessica, why don't you start off?
All right, perfect. So let's take a look at Thorne back in 2009 and what our e-commerce presence looked like then versus now. So in 2009, Thorne was really focused on selling direct to doctors or healthcare practitioners. We had an e-commerce site, but it was only for licensed practitioners. So they would purchase their product to stock in their office. And we had a huge SKU assortment. 400 SKUs. Many of those SKUs were custom products or made to order for specific doctors. So at this time, back in 2009, we could really effectively say that we had nearly $0 in direct to consumer revenue. But fast forward up to this year in 2023, and we've grown to have a very large D2C presence. We have 192 SKUs. And of course, you'll notice that that is a reduction from the 400 that we had back in 2009. And that was intentional. We really back then had a lot of overlap in products, and there was very little differentiation between each of those products. We were also seeing certain products cannibalize or win over other products. Therefore, we really had to get strategic in what we reduced and begin to whittle down our SKU assortment. And to make sure really ultimately that we didn't have SKUs competing with each other. And then that takes us to this year. We have 192 SKUs. We have a 72 as our Net Promoter Score, which we are super proud of. We span a lot of different marketplaces, from Thorne.com to Amazon marketplaces, Target, Walmart, Tmall, iHerb, and across many different countries. And so in Q3 of last year, for our D2C revenue in Q3 of 2022 was $27 million in that quarter. So we grew from effectively zero to 27 million in the third quarter of last year. And then over the next few slides, we are going to talk through the three major factors that really helped us to accelerate that growth from this 2009 presence to this 2023 presence. And so we'll get started with the first of those factors. So the first of those factors is really our quality product assortment. And so what do we mean by quality product assortment? First is we really want to have the right product market fit. So our team develops products based on the need that we see in the market. We want to solve that need for our customers, whether the need is from a doctor and they want to solve a patient need, or whether it's a gap in our consumer market and we really see an opportunity to help improve consumer satisfaction. Our goal is ultimately to be able to meet a consumer's needs at each stage in their life, from adolescence to family planning to staying active in your silver years. So the next piece to this quality product assortment is also making sure that you have the right products for the right channel. And if you could hop back one slide, that would be perfect. Thank you. So picking the right product for the right channel. Because we have 192 SKUs and counting some days, we can't lean into each of those SKUs the same way. Therefore, we really have to look at each channel that we're on, whether it's Target, Walmart, Tmall, or others, and evaluate that audience to determine what the best product assortment is for that channel. Not all of our products are right for all of our channels. So with that, we want to look at what we call our focus products, or our term here is gateway products. So we identify what we call gateway products. These are the products that serve a majority. They have the highest new customer acquisition rates. They're relatively easy to understand, so you don't have a long education or buying cycle. And those are the products that we really try to focus on for each of the channels. So after quality product assortment, one of the next items that has gotten us to where we are today is really great content. As all marketers know, content is king, whether that's paid content or whether it's organic content. And that's never been more true whenever you're talking about or educating a consumer on what nutritional supplement is right for them. You want to make sure that they have the right education to choose the right product. And that content for them to help choose the right product really comes in a lot of different forms. So speaking organically, it comes from blogs, product detail pages, thumbnails on your product detail pages. And ultimately, the goal with each of these is to inform a consumer about the right product for them in the most effective way. So what we find that is the most effective form of content is user-generated content. And so what do I mean by user-generated content? If this is a new term for you, what that is it's any form of content such as customers using or holding the product, or consumer videos of the customer, but it's any form of content that's created by the customer. One of the most important user-generated content is really reviews and testimonials. We find these to be super effective. We recently did a study about what different demographics find is useful when searching for a product. And in that study, we found that females that were between the ages of 18 to 54 were more likely to read and respond to a review on a product detail page. So those really matter to that demographic. While their male counterpart between the ages of 18 to 34, they were more likely to listen to a review from a podcaster. And then that older male demographic of 34 to 54, they were more likely to respond to a social media review. So we found this really interesting. And the point of that is really making sure that you have the right user-generated content in the right place for your market. And so the third point is making sure that you have the right price point. Because Thorne really focuses on the science behind each ingredient and we offer what we call a concierge service to provide personalized recommendations to our consumers, Thorne is positioned as a luxury brand. So our products tend to be at a higher price point. However, we know that it's important to target the right price point for the right product, for the right audience that you're offering or that you're targeting. And we consider a few things when pricing our products. So some of those things are, first, is it a commodity or an exclusive product? So when we look at commodity products, these should be price sensitive. Those consumers are sensitive to the market, and you want to make sure that you're priced within the other SKU assortment that you're competing with. So that's a commodity good. Now, if you have an exclusive product where it's only available on your channel on Thorne.com, for example, then you can price that product a little bit higher because there's only one channel that they can receive that product from. So the next is shelf parity. What we mean by shelf parity is making sure that your product is priced evenly when it's on that digital shelf. So whenever your consumer is looking at your product versus other products, you want to make sure that there's shelf parity on the digital shelf. This may mean that you need to evaluate your servings or your count per product. Sometimes we look at our different servings and reduce them in order to make sure we're at the right price point. Next is platform parity. So keeping your price consistent across all platforms or all channels is really important. We want to own that consumer journey and make sure they're happy through the entire journey. And so we don't want to see consumers jumping from platform to platform in order to find the right price for the product. And so those are the three main factors that have really accelerated our growth to be in this place that we are at right now with our e-commerce platform. And throughout this entire journey, we've partnered with Pattern to help catalyze our e-commerce growth. They are a great partner that we work with on a daily to help us manage our brand, our price point, our distribution strategy. So with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Jared so that he can talk about some additional considerations for marketplace control.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jessica. So as mentioned, during our partnership with Thorne and other great partner brands, we've seen some great success in e-commerce. And so I'd like to just share three of the kind of those keys to those success that we've discovered along the way. So first is marketplace control. Now, we define marketplace control as when, situation where a manufacturer's brand image is being represented with integrity, its products are being sold through authorized sellers at authorized prices. And so you see there's kind of that three facets of marketplace control. So let's dive into each one. First, price control. In order to control the marketplace, you need to make sure that your products are being sold at the same price everywhere across the internet. At a bare minimum, you need to make sure that you have a minimum advertised price or MAP policy, and you are enforcing it. You want to make sure that those prices are consistent across the various channels. Like Jessica said, you don't want your customers to go to one website and see your product at 20% discount or 30 or 40 or 50 than the rest of the internet. That'll give them questions about, well, is this product valuable? Is this product is it expired? Is it whatever? It just throws questions. So having a consistent price everywhere is exactly how you'll want to do that. Now, that's not to say that you can't ever have promotions and discounts. You absolutely can. You can decrease your price for, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, for the New Year, New You, for Baby Safety Month, for Pet Month, for Prime Day, whatever you want. Just make sure that that price is consistent everywhere across the internet. The second facet is kind of brand control. It's kind of fun. We've done lots of studies, or we've read up on lots of studies, one of which is that 66% of all shopping starts online, meaning that people will start and just do a Google search, see what they can find and what they can discover about the product that they want to buy. But even more interesting is that 85% of shoppers will look online even if they are standing in front of the product they want in a store. So they'll pick up the product off the shelf and then pull out their phone, and they'll go online to see, what does everybody else think about this product? What are the ratings and reviews about this product? What does it look like? How does the rest of the world feel about this product? So you'll need to make sure that you are controlling the message that is out there. The worst thing for you would be if you've got your, product being sold on an e-commerce platform, and the pictures are these grainy cell phone photos that somebody has taken, some random rogue seller has taken. Even more important than the images is the content, meaning the titles, the bullet points. If you're in a vitamin and supplement space, the last thing you want is some rogue seller to say, buy this vitamin D because it cures COVID, or this vitamin C cures cancer. That will destroy your credibility in the marketplace. Same with, even if it's not a consumable product, there are lots of products, and each of you in your own industry know that there are claims that can get you in hot water with legal, government bodies. So making sure that you have consistent and compliant text copy across the internet is also key to this marketplace control. And then finally, on the brand control, kind of unified messaging on customer questions and reviews, right? The last thing you want is for somebody to post a question, hey, I got a tummy ache when I took this product. The last thing you want is some random seller to be like, well, did you follow the directions? Like, come on, this is your fault. You want to make sure that you have a consistent message that is portraying your brand in the best possible light.
And Jared, if I may jump in on this, I can't emphasize brand control enough. Being the brand, and I'm sure that there's many other brand managers out there today as well, but I'm super passionate about brand image. And as a brand, we spend so much money every year on making sure that your brand looks great, making sure that your brand sounds great. So whenever you have one bad actor representing your brand, and that's the first interaction that your consumer sees, it can really diminish the trust in your brand and just the overall brand image as well. So I can't emphasize it enough. So I'm so glad that this is part of your Venn diagram.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. So the last part on marketplace control is actually distribution control. You might have products, again, sticking with the vitamin supplement space, you might have products that need to be kept at a certain temperature throughout the entire supply chain process. You might have products that need to stay free from dust or allergens or something along those lines. And so you'll want to make sure that your product is only going down distribution channels that you have authorized, that it's only being touched by sellers that you have authorized. It's kind of interesting because, speaking of Marketplace 2.0, back in the old days, as a distributor or manufacturer of a product, you probably wanted your product as widely distributed as possible. You wanted it everywhere. You wanted everybody to be able to get their hands on it because every additional purchase was good for you. Those days have changed. Now you want to make sure that you control the distribution. You want to have more selective distribution so that you can control these different aspects of the marketplace. So jumping to the next point here is you want to make sure as you're thinking about e-commerce and kind of marketplaces in general, that you are optimizing the e-commerce equation. So now if you've not seen this before, this is, I think, a key that you'll want to write down. And it's pretty basic. The revenue that you will earn is just a function of the traffic you drive times the conversion rate of those detail pages times the price you're paying or that the customer is paying for your product times your availability. And then you just bundle that all together and repeat it over and over for your customer lifetime value. So let's talk about each one of those levers a little bit more. First, traffic, right? That could be just simple pay per click where you're driving traffic to your detail pages, but it could also be influencers. It could be, that user-generated content that Jessica mentioned earlier. All of those are key to your success. But you want to make sure that traffic, however you're doing it, is being driven to detail pages that convert well, right? And so that gets to the conversion part. We work with our brands and we'll make sure that we are maximizing the number of images that are allowed per marketplace for every detail page. Content is king, as Jessica said. And so you'll want to make sure that the content is as performant and as professional looking and tells your brand story as much as possible. So then we get into pricing. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for you to sell your product at the same price everywhere. In fact, I've got an example of this. One of our other large vitamin supplement brands, they sell a 100 count product on Amazon. And they have, through Sam's Club, a 120 count version of that same product. Now, obviously, it's a quantity discount, and the per unit price is different. Well, the problem is that Amazon refuses to let them sell the 100 count product because it has a different price point than the 120 count product that isn't even sold on the same platform. And so that one SKU is worth $4.5 million every year. And the platform won't let them sell it because it's at the wrong price compared to the rest of the internet. So just keep that in mind as you are thinking about pricing and as you're controlling that e-commerce lever. Last thing is availability. How is your logistics process? How easy is it to get inventory back in stock, right? If an influencer says that your product is fantastic, for example, the Kardashians say that they love your product, and you instantly sell out, how long will it take you to get your product back on the shelf? Just another example about that. A couple of years ago, AARP put out a piece on curcumin and how valuable it was as you age. Instantly, every curcumin product disappeared off all of the digital shelves of every e-commerce marketplace. And so you'll want to make sure that you are able to get that product back onto that shelf as quickly as possible.
Jared, I would love to add that speaking to that availability these days is not just the Kardashians, it's really all types of micro influencers. And as a brand that distributes across the globe, we really battle this issue every day. And there's nothing that can drastically decrease demand or put ice on that demand as not having the product available when your customers want it, where your customers want it. So all the money that you spend can be ruined if your product is not available or wasted, that is. So can't emphasize availability enough.
Excellent. Thank you, Jessica. All right, getting to the last point, we just have a few minutes left. The last thing that you need to be thinking of, and a real kind of tip for success and growth in e-commerce, is reviews and ratings. You'll want to make sure that you are increasing your reviews and ratings. But let me pause there for a moment. This does not mean that you should engage in any kind of gray hat or black hat methods of getting reviews. That is never worth your time, money, or energy. And in fact, sometimes you can do almost those gray hat ones. In fact, there was an article in the news just recently where the FTC is suing a large brand because what they did is on an e-commerce marketplace, they created a variation. Now, a variation typically is small, medium, large t-shirt, but you can also do variations for your products. They bundled all of their products together, and it looked like every individual product had 14,000 reviews. The FTC did not like that and is slapping their hand hard. And so you'll want to make sure that you're using legitimate ways to get reviews and ratings. Bazaarvoice is one of those options. If you've got a great set of ratings and reviews on one e-commerce platform, say your direct-to-consumer site, partnering with a good technology company and then syndicating those reviews and ratings to other e-commerce marketplaces is a brilliant strategy to help your potential customers see how beloved your product is by the rest of the world. And I think, that is one of the great ways to get that user-generated content that Jessica mentioned early on into more people's, perspectives, and more people can actually see it and respond to it. Well, I think that's about it. So let me hand the time back over to Shay, and let's see if we can have time for any questions.
Thanks so much, Jared and Jessica. That was very informative. Unfortunately, during the technical delays we had earlier, we're not able to continue on with questions and answers, but rest assured, any questions that get submitted will be forwarded to the team here, and then will be responded to via the email that you RSVP'd with.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks again for your time.